So, what evils of the automated system are sought to be addressed precisely by this measure, Your Honor?
Well, two things. Basically, the issue of transparency, because our voters, I suspect for reasons that are understandable because our technology is so faulty, do not trust the machines and would prefer to see their own teachers totting up the numbers of the votes physically. Nakikita talaga nila, kung alam ninyo, maski sa Aurora siguro, parang piyesta yan. Lahat pupunta para sa bilangan. The other issue is the lack of evidence, because the generation of the VCM, and we are entirely dependent upon the SD cards, and when they don't work, in actual fact, human interference comes into play, because so many times the SD cards didn't work in 2019, if you recall, and then they had to be manually punched in at the municipal level kasi hindi nga nag-work yung mga SD card. Tapos nahirapan lahat kasi hindi malaman ngayon kung alin yung tama.
Okay, I understand.
May I interject?
Of course, Mr. President, of course.
Mr. Sponsor, yes, of course, my worthy brother. One of the main reasons is what emanated during the investigation of the Senate, if you will recall,
Yeah.
that the transmission or the transmissions have begun even before the voting.
That's right.
And you will never be able to trace that. Like what happened, we were able to bring it out, but for the lack of digital print, we could not identify all the precincts that did that, or all the machines that did that. But unlike a hybrid or a manual voting, the people in the barangay, the teachers, the people themselves, the voters themselves, can see who they voted for and how it was counted. Now, the transmission is the one that the computerization wanted to correct. The reason we went automated was because of the delay in the transmission. But if you will recall, the last barangay elections, by 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the evening, they all know already in the entire barangay who won.
That's right.
The counting is done. But the transmission from the ballot boxes to the municipal level, and then the ballot boxes from the municipal level to the provincial level, and thereafter from the provincial level to COMELEC, that is where the miracle happens, and the delay of about a month or so for the national candidates. And the automation law solved that, but it did not practically solve the problem in the counting in the precinct level. If the machines are fault-free, or if there are really clean automated machines, there's no problem. But we've seen it happen in 2016.
16, and then
In 2016. It was really unexplainable. Even COMELEC had the difficulty explaining and finding the faults. So this proposal practically tries to solve that particular problem in the barangay, in the precinct level.
Yes.
That's the reason for that. Well, that's one of the reasons. Thank you, Your Honors.
Thank you
Thank
very
you very
much,
much.
Mr. President. Tama yun kasi unang-una yung transparency dun sa precinct level, tapos yung ikalawa, yung faulty transmission. It has to be said that COMELEC perhaps did their very best, but we were at a primitive level of technology. Now, with the help of the DOST and the DICT, we shall be able to put digital signatures even at the precinct level, as well as digital receipts sa ating tinatawag na transparency server. Also, yung sinasabi ni Senate President, tama yun kasi parang pre-filled na pala yung mga resulta. So, marami tayong mga security features like anti-replay, data origin, data integrity, and in fact, I'm putting a new provision that a third-party aggregator maintain the audit logs so that we are not lost in translation with regard to transmission.
Thank you. Thank you very much to both the Senate President and the good sponsor for explaining that. Could you clarify in 2016, were these on a large scale, the pre-filling or pre-transmission even before the voting? How many precincts, for instance, were involved, Your Honor?
I'm not sure,
may I answer
but I
that?
think the Senate President is much better able to answer that because it was
Yes, of course, of course.
two privileged speech.
I'll try to recall from memory, but if I can recall it right, there were precincts. Forgot the name of the schools now, but there were precincts in certain schools. I remember the provinces: Camarines Sur, Rizal province. Rizal. There's another province in Mindanao. I'm not sure. Surigao, I think. Surigao or Agusan, any of the two. I distinctly recall those three provinces with schools and voting machines that started voting in the evening before the 9 o'clock opening of the. They started transmitting already votes.
Excited
They
sila.
started transmitting votes even before the precincts opened. On May 9. May 9 yun, di ba? I recall.
Yes.
Before May 9, in the morning, they started transmitting already. And the servers that, there is this, meron silang nilagay na server na isang kini-question natin noon eh. Bakit naglagay ng parang paradahan muna?
May mga secret servers in between po before it gets to the transparency server. Nakakapagtaka.
Oo, hindi dapat. Pero may nilagyan na parang parking muna na server that was being operated in BGC. Di ba?
I remember
Walang
po.
nakakaalam. Ang COMELEC mismo nahilo dun eh. Di ba? Dapat nung diretso sa COMELEC. Hindi, pinarada muna. Kasi nga wala pa sa oras eh. Di ba? Queuing server. Yun. They created a queuing server. Kinu-queue yung papasok. Ng mga boto. And the people in the barangay, in the voters, cannot recall or do not know if their votes were counted. Yun ang problema. All right? Did I
Thank you, Mr. President. Was it on a large scale? Was it several precincts, or is it isolated incidents, Your Honor?
All the precincts in those schools. That's how I recall it.
Right.
For example, the Camarines Sur Escuela, I forgot the name. I can look at my records. The entire school, the machines in the school started transmitting.
Magic.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that with us, Mr. President.
It's our hope and our effort that our technology is at a much better level now, and this magic transmission router servers, queuing servers, intermediary servers will no longer be able to function because we'll be using digital signatures and the anti-replay, and then we will have in our possession and not in Smartmatic's possession the audit logs.
Okay, that sounds like a sound proposal, Your Honor. I'm just wondering why in the past there were many moves to the hybrid election, but I see one of the documents my staff presented to me was a 2018 finding of a study, a time and motion study conducted by the then acting secretary of the DICT, who was also the chair of the COMELEC Advisory Council. I'm talking about Secretary Eliseo Rio. He wrote to our then chair of election reforms, that's Senator Coco Pimentel, setting forth his various recommendations on I'm just trying to retrieve that document, Your Honor, so I can try to be as accurate as I can from. Yeah, it's the COMELEC Advisory Council. It's a 9-page document, Mr. President.
That's right. I've seen it. Yes.
Yeah, and he has. They said they undertook some time and motion studies,
That's
among
correct.
others.
And I
And
think Secretary Rio said that it will be costlier, time-consuming, error-prone. Marami siyang sinasabi dun sa recommendation ni Commissioner Gaslagman at that time. Is that the same thing, I think?
yeah, it is. If I may quote, Mr. President, Your Honor, he's on page 8 of his towards the end in his recommendations, or their recommendations rather, because he's speaking for the COMELEC Advisory Council at the time. May I quote, as a result of the time and motion study, the adoption of the proposed hybrid election system for the 2019 national and local elections is highly discouraged, given the estimated number of hours to execute the manual counting tallying. And also, on the last page, the page 9 of that letter, he sets forth the pros and cons of a hybrid automated election system. Under pros, number 1, with enough BEIs manning the precincts, the time for manual counting and automated transmission would be a few hours longer than the full AES. Number 2, counting will be transparent. 3, machine errors and manipulation will be lessened. But in under cons, he says it will take 3 times more manpower to implement a hybrid AES than a full AES. Number 2, election violence in the precinct level will be increased, endangering the life and limb of BEI teachers, poll watchers, and voters. 3, long delays in transmission could be caused by delaying tactics of political candidates. And after that, the general recommendation, it is still the recommendation of the CAC to employ fully automated AES for all future elections. The concerns associated with a foreign company running our elections can be addressed by using Filipino talent and ingenuity in future elections. So there's a number of things to unpack there, Your Honor, but maybe just to elicit your initial responses, Madam Chair.
Yes, firstly, I saw a copy of that, and I am happy to say that, in fact, former Secretary Rio was one of the most enthusiastic participants in the discussions in 2019, and until today that he's no longer with the DICT, he still performs as one of our consultants. I think the previous recommendation was different in the sense that the manual was a complete manual count and canvas from precinct all the way up. And as I said earlier, it really would have entailed a heck of a lot of time. On the other hand, they also involved hybrid systems of automation. Mas maraming technology, kaya mas magulo yung original recommendation. And thirdly, he said that the state of the ICT is such today that it can undertake digital signatures, which are key at every level. So parang nagbago na isip niya kasi bago na rin yung recommendation, yung style ng hybrid.
Okay, I believe you when you say maybe he's had a change of opinion, Your Honor. We'll take that at face value. Mr. President, on the election returns, the current law provides for 30, and the bill provides for 12, and only the dominant majority party and the dominant minority party among the political parties will be entitled to the ERs. I'm just wondering, what is the thinking, Your Honor, behind that?
Well, for some reason, not entirely clear to me, it seems to be one of the main reasons for the delay. The printing of 30 ER seems to be a big deal and takes forever. So we attempted to reduce it to 12, removing the accredited national and local parties outside of the dominant majority and minority, the broadcast media, the print, and so on. Total, ang totoo, kapag na-post na naman yung ERs, it is immediately copied and sent to everyone. Nakukuha naman nila kagad. If you recall, in 2019, when we both ran for the Senate, there was a glitch in COMELEC for 7 hours. Pero tuloy-tuloy ang ABS at ang GMA kasi nakuha na nila yung mga ER. So that was the concern that perhaps churning out 30 copies was unnecessary and only 12 official needed to be handed out and the rest would simply copy on their own. To save some time because of the delay accrued for the manual counting, it was one of the efforts in addition to early voting, smaller precincts, and so on.
In your opinion, Mr. President, Your Honor, there's nothing lost by not giving it to the other political parties?
Perhaps we can reconsider, but it was a very firm recommendation on the part of COMELEC. As I said, it seems fairly simple to copy all these things. It's one button pushed, but apparently it's a very, very long-winded process.
Thank you, Madam Sponsor, Mr. President. I'd like to thank the sponsor for patiently answering all of our queries, and also to the Senate President for adding to the responses and based on his bill and his opinion. So thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Senator Angara. I have a great backup team, the best.
Thank you very much.
May I just complete part of the responses to Senator Angara?
Yes.
Some of the early transmissions, like for example in to Angono Rizal and Libon Albay, their machines started transmitting May 8, 2016. That's one day before. The digital print shows the time.
Baka sa 2013 elections, yung transmit nila, Mr. President.
459 early transmissions, just between the two. 459 early transmissions. We could not get the number of votes contained in those 459 transmissions.
Hindi kaya yun yung dry run? As under the law, isn't there supposed to be like a dry run before the actual elections?
Yes.
Baka
Days
na-program
before.
yung computers and
Correct.
I'm just wondering, Mr. President. No, I don't know for sure. I'm not aware of the circumstances.
Yeah, we investigated that. Where there was an inquiry in that issue, and that was the original answer of Smartmatic. The meron daw testings but the testings were the machines were already sealed. The testings were done days before.
Right.
This was hours before the opening of the precincts.
Yeah.
That is not allowed. No, but if we would never have seen this actually. There was only a whistleblower who came from their company. That gave us the evidence. Kaya natin nalaman. Otherwise, hindi naman natin malalaman na mayroong early transmissions na yung queue server mayroon ng laman Kaya kinu-queue dahil hindi pwedeng mag-transmit nung madaling araw, labang bumoboto Mga ganun But and by the way, just look at look at what's happened in the other parts of the world. If I am right, Germany has gone back to manual voting. Check it out. I researched this before. Germany and another 2 or 3 countries.
The Senate President is right. There are a few jurisdictions that have reverted to manual, complete manual. That's Germany. But others have really got a hybrid like Australia or even Singapore, where the counting has reverted to manual.
Yung COMELEC,
Thank you.
the COMELEC and bank resolution mandated that the testing was from May 2 to May 6. In May 6, dapat sealed na lahat yun. May 8 ito ng gabi, hours before the opening of the, all right. Thank you.